Colour Alchemy, issue 10. I'm Led Sharp and it's about time. I needed to produce a positive video about comics for quite some time because there's been too much negativity around the whole subject recently, so here I am. Without further ado, cracking on. On Saturday morning I went to the Tate Gallery in Liverpool to listen to a talk given by Brian and Mary Talbot about their collaborative works, which included the award-winning Daughter of Her Father's Eyes, Suffragette and The Red Virgin, which I also managed to get signed. They also spoke about their upcoming project Rain, which is about environmental issues, climate change and the floodings in Huddersfield. Listening to them talk about their creative process was very inspirational. Where Mary gets her ideas from is incredibly personal to her, and she picks on subjects that she absolutely adores. And Brian's techniques when it comes to comic book artwork are putting him right up there with the likes of Will Eisner and Jack Kirby as far as I'm concerned. Bring it on if you want to argue that fact. Brian Talbot himself has actually been an early influence in my comic reading habits. From when I was very, very small, I actually picked up a summer special of 2000 AD which featured Nemesis the Warlock, which is some of Brian's early work, and it just blew my mind. It was meant to me that comics could be more than the Beano and superheroes, and it opened up that world to me. Listening to him talk about the way panels can control time, how colours can control emotions, and how he uses special techniques to make characters stand out on a page was reinvigorating, to say the least. After the talk by Brian and Mary Talbot, I went to the Tate Gallery itself to go see a workshop being held by the Comics Youth Group. They are based in Knowsley. It's a collection of young people who are passionate about making comics, and they also hold these work groups all about producing comics and making comics and getting the public involved in comics. And it was absolutely wonderful to see young people passionate about comics. Speaking to Katie, the young lady who is part of the group, she went through a very similar experience to me when it came to art college, where the tutors basically frowned on comics. They were sneered at, and if they didn't know about it, you didn't need to care about it, which I did. I found Scott McCloud's understanding comics after I left college, and I wish I'd found it before then because I could have defended my passion with a better vocabulary, and it was very frustrating. So to come across a group of young people who are passionate about comics, who haven't been downtrodden by the system of art college, that's just wonderful. They also produce these wonderful little comics actually at the workshop. These are all about gender identity and sexuality and things like that. That's absolutely brave and wonderful. And this is all about the creator getting over their anxiety of travelling and dealing with their mental health issues using public transport and the way it all opens up the world to them. And it's basically produced on this piece of paper, folded like so, into a delightful little booklet form, and that is comics, and it's wonderful. And so it's incredibly uplifting to see a bunch of young people passionate about the medium. It's not going away, it's just becoming its own thing. They also reassure me about the Comics UK convention scene, which is all about the comics themselves. It's all about small press publishers getting together in small knit communities and producing the comics and going around conventions and talking about comics and so on and so forth. And they actually do get foot traffic off the street. They get people who coming in who wouldn't otherwise read comics going, ooh, look, comics, coming in and maybe having a look around and buying stuff. So it's reassuring to know that the general public who don't ordinarily read comics are getting into comics, especially on such a wonderful, personal, creative level. They're not just coming across the DC and Marvel stuff. So that is actually really reassuring to realise. And since the last video, I've also discovered the Awesome Comics podcast, which is produced by Tony, Dan, and Vince. And I don't know their second names off the top of my head. I do apologise if you wind up watching this. But they produce this amazing podcast. It's set in the UK. They are all small press publishers themselves. They make comics. They talk about the market of comics. They talk about the industry. They criticise comics. But they are passionate about comics, again. And it's such a relief to hear people talk about comics in such a positive manner. They're very funny. Their shows are very concise but very involved. Just wonderful. Wonderful to listen to. And I don't listen to many podcasts these days. I find them all very samey, to be perfectly honest with you. But these lads, their passion is something that anybody could listen to be perfectly honest with you. That's what makes it so good. From there, I found Todd Oliver, who produces his own small press comic in the UK called Boxes, as well as this one, Smedley, The Story of a Worm-Shaped Man. His humour is slightly surreal. It's got a very meta quality to it. He's quite clever at meta gags, which is basically you reach off panel and the hand comes in that side. That kind of thing where he plays with the panel layouts and the format and the language that comics use to actually produce these wonderful sight gags. The humour is quite dark and in places quite unpleasant, but never so horrible that you are veering away from it. It's just very clever stuff, and he's a delight to talk to through emails as well. So recommend Boxes by Todd Oliver. And that's basically it. I'm hoping that this new format of me just talking with the occasional slide will take off. It's taken me a long time to try and get this particular format right. The quality will help. You'll notice that I've got a new rig up. And yeah. All the links to the websites that I've been talking about and all the people that I've been talking about is going to be in the comment section. That's the Awesome Comics podcast, the Brian Talbot website, the Comics Youth website, and Boxes by Todd Oliver. And all of this is going to be there in the comments below. And that's basically it. So yeah, take care and have fun reading comics.